I am here to attest and affirm that our faith and belief in God is central to the American story and informs the values we've expressed in our party's platform.
All those delegates opposed, say no. Let me do that again. All those delegates opposed, say no. I guess I'll do that one more time. All those delegates opposed, say no.
Well, there you have it. What you were hearing, all those no's, those were Democrat delegates that were passionately, I mean passionately, vigorously, aggressively opposed to including any reference or any mention of God in the Democratic National Party platform. And that makes the Democratic Party, ladies and gentlemen, fundamentally un-American. It makes them anti-American because you cannot be an American, an authentic American, an American in the sense that the founding fathers certainly considered you to be, unless you believed in a creator God who is the source of your unalienable rights. If you're going to kick the creator to the curb, you're going to throw him, you're going to push him off the platform under the train, then you can't call yourself an American. Remember, George Washington said, look, of all the habits and dispositions that lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who would labor to subvert these two great pillars of human happiness. So George Washington would have no hesitation. If you're an enemy of religion, by which he meant Christianity, you're an enemy of morality, by which he meant the Ten Commandments, you cannot call yourself a patriot. And so I say, according to George Washington, that the Democratic Party and the Democratic delegates that voted no, they are not patriots. They are fundamentally un-American, fundamentally anti-American. So God kind of squeaked back in. Basically, that was dictatorial on the part of Anthony Villaraigosa. I mean, you didn't see the democratic process at work there at all yesterday. That was heavy-handed. Same thing that John Boehner did, just kind of forcing through with the heavy hand of an autocrat, getting that back in the platform. Clearly not what the delegates wanted, why they booed God when God was put back in the party platform. Let's go to the phones, see what your reaction to these shenanigans on the part of the Democratic National Committee. Let's go to Heather, Fort Benning, Georgia. Heather, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Brian. I just posted on your Facebook that YouTube took down Colonel West's video of the DNC's vote last night, but C-SPAN and Fox still have it up.
So are you telling me that Facebook did it or YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube took down Alan West's video.
Yes.
We played the sound from that, but they took it down. You can't find it on YouTube now.
Yes, but C-SPAN and
okay. Well, we've got it on our YouTube account. You can go to it's on our Facebook account. You go to our Facebook. Never mind. Jeff said it's been taken off of our Facebook site too.
Wow.
So whoa. So they pull it off off of our YouTube account. Is it?
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, they're going after us too. Anyway, Heather, go ahead and complete your thought.
Censoring at its finest, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Nate's had it overwhelmingly, and it goes right back to what Ronald Reagan said. If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Yes.
And this is a sad day. And yes, you're right. They did not allow the party platform or the party rules to be engaged, just like the RNC did not. And however, it's just a big show because Obama signed off on it, and as Michelle Obama said, the president reveals who you are.
All right, Heather, listen, I appreciate the call, and that's what's sobering. You know, this is kind of a watershed moment, I think, in kind of public awareness about just how radical the Democratic Party has become. I think there are a lot of older generation Democrats that just do not understand that the Democratic Party is not what it was when their parents were hardcore Democrats, not what it was when they were young and hardcore Democrats themselves. It is not the same political party. It has become something that Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson would not recognize. Remember, Thomas Jefferson could not stop talking about God. You go to the Jefferson Memorial in D.C., you got God all over the place. Every one of his quotations etched in granite, etched in marble in the Jefferson Memorial, every one of them contains an explicit reference to God. Jefferson couldn't stop talking about God. Andrew Jackson pointed to the Bible and said, that book, sir, is the rock on which the Republican rests. Now, the Republic rests. Now you got an entire political party, their heirs, their descendants, saying we don't even want to mention God in our party platform. It is truly a revealing and a sobering day, a very revealing day. It's a watershed moment in American political life. Let's go to James, Midway Park, North Carolina. James, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Well, I just want to say this. Our rights under God are not subject to a vote. So why they want to do that, I don't know. But guess what? All nations that forget God are turned into hell. And what we have up there now, we had two, Clinton and Obama. We had two sons of perdition bull-jiving the people, talking the same smack they talked before, and evidently most of those folks cheering and screaming must be under some kind of satanic mind control, because they don't realize that they are headed down that slippery slope just like a bunch of lemmings following two Judas goats into the pits of hell.
All right, James, that's strong words, but I'm not sure that James is overspeaking there because this is a pretty striking thing when you look at how angry those no voters were, and they had some close-ups of people afterwards that realized they'd been jobbed. This had been pushed down their throats. They didn't want this. They didn't want God in the platform. They didn't want any acknowledgement of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. They were angry. They were teed. They were ticked because they do not want their political party to have anything to do with even the acknowledgement of a creator God. And again, JFK, remember, even JFK said, look, we got to remember that our rights come to us not from the hand of government, but from the hand of God. That's JFK. That's a Democrat president in 1961 in his inaugural address. He had no hesitation about that. Our rights do not come to us from the hand of government, but from the hand of God. That's almost a direct verbatim quote. And yet we've got a political party now that doesn't even want to acknowledge that God exists. Let's go to Neil, Richmond, Virginia. Neil, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What do you think?
I think the nays had it, Brian. It sounds like to me. And it's really not a surprise because, them backstepping on is just a political move because, any party that's anti-marriage and pro-gay, that tells you God's not involved.
Well, let me ask you this, Neil. And again, this is just sort of asking you to psychoanalyze, and we really can't know, definitely the answer to this. But why do you think the Democratic Party did this? God was out of the platform. Why did they put him back in there, and why did they use dictatorial, autocratic power, kind of overruling the will of their own delegates? Why do you think they did that?
I really don't know. But here's the interesting thing I saw today on Facebook, too, that Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson, was talking to, I don't know who he was talking to, but they asked him about the word creator.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't like that word. It shouldn't even be in there. It should be God or Allah. There was no problem with him.
Wow. Well, and again, that shows you how far they've drifted. It's very clear for the Founding Fathers. The God that they referred to, the creator that they referred to, was the God that is revealed in the Judeo-Christian tradition, not the one that is revealed in the Quran or the Book of Mormon, for that matter. All right, Neil, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's go quickly to George, Leesburg, Georgia. George, Leesburg, Georgia, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What do you think?
Yes. Hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm fine. I was telling the lady, I just want to let y'all know that AFA and just AFR has just totally changed my life the past 3 years. This is all I listen to, and it's really kind of opened up some things for me to make myself do. So, anyhow, that being said, real quick, I'm 64 years old. My father was in the military, and I have gotten into, especially since Obama has been elected, when the czars and everything, he started appointing the czars, I started looking at a lot of stuff about World War II. about how, and I am not comparing people, I'm not comparing parties, I'm comparing ideas. And I've gone back and I studied this a little bit, and I looked up on Google last night, and I looked up the quotes of Hitler. And one of them was said about 7 or 8 times, and he said it in different ways, but basically what he said is one of the biggest advantages that government has is when people stop thinking. And it just goes right along with what we're going through to me.
Yeah. All right, George. Well, listen, I appreciate that. That's an insightful observation. Last call of the hour. Let's go to Jimmy, Hummel, Texas. Jimmy, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind? Got about 45 seconds.
All right. I believe in a lot of states' constitutions, you can't hold public office unless that you believe in a creator or a higher power or God. And if you look in the Texas state constitution, it's still in there too. And also I believe that they put God back in there because it's an election year. Just how Barack Obama tried to trick everybody thinking he was more conservative or more to the middle than he really was. He just wants to get elected so he can do what he wants to do.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree with you, Jimmy. Thank you for the call. I tend to agree this is pure political pandering on President Obama's part. I mean, they knew that this was going to be politically costly to them, so they put it back in there, not out of conviction, but out of sheer and pure political pandering. You know, Jimmy's right. God is explicitly acknowledged in the preamble of every single constitution in the Union. Every state constitution, 50 out of 50 acknowledges God. For instance, Idaho, my home state, grateful to Almighty God for our freedom, we the people of the state of Idaho. And every constitution is just exactly like that. And he's also right. At the dawning of the Republic, they had to establish new state constitutions when they declared their independence. And in some of those states, you had to declare on oath that you were a follower of Jesus Christ before you could take your seat and start enacting legislation. Focal Point, AFR Talk, back after the news.
American Family Radio, AFR Talk.
Hello everyone, I'm Tim Wildman. Our November elections are some of the most important we'll ever have. Our religious freedom, our economic future,